The lower decks of Talos Station smelled like rust and desperation. Jiwon walked through the dimly lit corridors, his boots echoing against the metal floor. He had just finished loading cargo onto his ship and wanted to take a shortcut back to the main level. The station authorities rarely patrolled this area. It was where the forgotten people lived. A figure stumbled out from behind a broken ventilation unit. Jiwon stopped immediately. The creature before him was clearly not human. She was thin, so thin that her bones showed through her grayish skin. Strange patterns covered her arms and face, but they barely glowed. Jiwon had seen enough aliens to know that those patterns should have been bright. "Please," the alien woman said in broken galactic common. Her voice cracked from thirst. I can work. I can serve, just food, please." Jiwon felt his stomach twist. She was offering herself in exchange for a meal. He had heard about this happening in the darker corners of space stations, but seeing it in person was different. Her large eyes held no hope, only the desperate need to survive one more day. "When did you last eat?" Jiwon asked softly in galactic common. The alien woman blinked in surprise. Most people did not ask questions. They either accepted offers like hers or walked away. 3 days, she whispered. Maybe 4. I lose count. Jiwon pulled off his jacket and wrapped it around her thin shoulders. She flinched at the sudden movement but did not pull away. "Come with me," he said. "I know a place that serves hot food." "I have no credits," she said quickly. "But I can pay. I can serve you. I can—" "Not necessary," Jiwon interrupted. He started walking, and after a moment she followed. Her steps were unsteady. He slowed his pace so she could keep up. They walked through the station in silence. Other travelers stared at them. A human walking with a clearly dying alien was not common. Most species in the galaxy believed in leaving the weak behind. Jiwon had never understood that philosophy. The noodle shop was small and warm. The owner, an elderly human woman, looked up when they entered. Her eyes widened when she saw the alien woman's condition. "Get her whatever she wants," Jiwon told the owner. "Keep it coming until she says stop." The alien woman sat down slowly as if she expected the chair to disappear. The owner brought out a bowl of hot noodle soup. Steam rose from the bowl, carrying the smell of broth and vegetables. The alien woman stared at it for a long moment. Then she picked up the utensils with shaking hands. She ate like someone who had forgotten what food tasted like. Tears ran down her face as she swallowed each bite. Jiwon watched quietly, drinking his own tea. The owner brought another bowl, then another. By the 4th bowl, the alien woman finally slowed down. "Thank you," she whispered. "I will pay you back. I promise. I can work on your ship. I can clean. What is your name?" Jiwon asked. She looked confused by the question. "Nare, my name is Nare. I am Jiwon. Nice to meet you, Nare." He smiled at her. "Tell me what happened. How did you end up here?" Nare stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly she began to talk. Her story came out in pieces. She was from the Velkari species. Her colony ship had been traveling to a new settlement when pirates attacked. They took everything valuable and left the passengers stranded at the nearest station. That was Talos Station. "My government said they would send help," Narai explained. Her voice was bitter. "But they never came. They said we were contaminated by contact with criminals. They said we could not return to Velkari space, so we waited here. But the station authorities do not care about refugees. No food assistance, no shelter, no help. People started dying." "How many of you were there?" Jiwon asked. 47. Narai looked down at her empty bowl. "Now maybe 20. Some found work on cargo ships. Some died, some disappeared. I tried to find work, but no one wants a Velkari. They say we are weak. They say we are useless." Jiwon felt anger building in his chest. He had heard similar stories before. Most galactic governments did not care about their own refugees. They saw them as embarrassments, as problems to ignore. But Earth had different policies. Humans believed that everyone deserved help, regardless of where they came from. "Where I come from," Jiwon said carefully, "we do not let people starve. We do not abandon our own, and we do not ignore those who need help." Nare laughed, but it was a sad sound. "You are human, yes? I have heard stories about your kind. They say humans are soft. They say you waste resources on the weak. They say you will not survive long in the galaxy because you care too much." "Maybe," Jiwon agreed. "But we are still here, and right now that means you are not alone anymore." The owner brought out more food. This time it was rice and vegetables and some kind of meat. Nari ate more slowly now, savoring each bite. Color was starting to return to her face. The patterns on her skin glowed just a little brighter. I still do not understand, Nari said between bites. Why are you helping me? What do you want from me? Nothing, Jiwon said simply. You needed help. I could help. That is all? Nari shook her head. That is not how the galaxy works. Everyone wants something. There are always strings attached. Always a price. Not with humans, Jiwon replied. At least not with most of us. We believe in something called basic decency. It means treating others with respect and kindness, not because we expect something back, but because it is the right thing to do. Nari stared at him like he was speaking an alien language. In a way he was. The concept of helping someone without expecting payment was foreign to most galactic cultures. They saw it as weakness, as foolishness, but Jiwon had been raised differently. Tomorrow, Jiwon said as they finished eating. Come find me at Docking Bay 12. My ship is called the Morning Star. I have a proposal for you. A real one, not involving servitude or anything like what you offered earlier. What kind of proposal? Nari asked suspiciously. The kind that involves honest work, fair pay, and regular meals, Jiwon replied. He stood up and paid the owner. Think about it. If you do not show up, I will understand. But if you do, we can talk about your future. A real future, not just survival. Nari watched him leave the noodle shop. She sat alone at the table, feeling full for the first time in months. The warmth of the food spread through her body. She touched her face and felt the tears still wet on her cheeks. She did not understand this human named Jiwon. She did not understand his kindness. But for the first time since the pirates attacked her ship, Nari felt something she thought she had lost forever. She felt hope. Nari spent the night in her usual hiding spot, a ventilation shaft on the lower decks, but this time was different. Her stomach was full. She had eaten more in one evening than in the past week combined. As she lay in the darkness, she touched the jacket Jiwon had given her. It still smelled like him, like clean soap and engine oil. She kept thinking about his words. Honest work, fair pay, regular meals. It sounded too good to be true. In her experience, nothing good came without a cost. But she had no other options. If this human was lying, she would be no worse off than before. If he was telling the truth, maybe her life could change. When morning came, Nari made her way to Docking Bay 12. The Morning Star was a medium-sized cargo ship, old but well-maintained. She could see someone working on the exterior hull. It was Jiwon. He wore work clothes and held a welding tool. You came, Jiwon said when he saw her. He sounded genuinely happy. I was not sure you would. I had nowhere else to go, Nari admitted. She handed back his jacket. Thank you for this. Jiwon took the jacket but immediately held out a bag. I brought these for you. Clean clothes, some medical supplies, and a data pad with basic ship operations manuals. You will need them if you are going to work here. Nari stared at the bag. I have not agreed to anything yet. I know, Jiwon said. But you will need these either way. Come on, let me show you the ship and introduce you to the crew. Inside the Morning Star, everything was clean and organized. The ship hummed with power. 2 other humans were working in the main corridor. One was a man about Jiwon's age, the other was a woman with short hair and kind eyes. This is Doyen, Jiwon said, pointing to the man. He is my best friend and our pilot. And this is Hyeri. She works at the station medical center, but helps us sometimes. Doyen looked at Nari with curiosity but no hostility. Jiwon told us about you. Welcome aboard, Hyeri was more direct. She pulled out a medical scanner and pointed it at Nari. You are severely malnourished, she said bluntly. When was the last time you had a proper medical check? Before the pirates attacked, Nari answered. 7 months ago, Hyeri's expression darkened. The station authorities should be ashamed. Come with me. I need to examine you properly. For the next hour, Hyeri ran tests and asked questions. She gave Nari vitamin injections and antibiotics. She treated the cuts and bruises that Nari had stopped noticing. The whole time she muttered angrily about negligent bureaucrats and cruel policies. You will recover, Hyeri finally announced, but you need regular meals, rest, and proper medical care. Your immune system is compromised. Any serious infection could kill you right now. Nari nodded. She had suspected as much. Her body felt like it was held together by willpower alone. When they returned to the main area, Jiwon was waiting with Doyen. They had prepared lunch. Real food, hot and fresh. Narai sat down carefully, still expecting something bad to happen. But nothing did. They just ate together, talking about normal things like ship repairs and trade routes. "So here is my offer," Jiwon finally said. "We need an extra crew member. Someone to help with maintenance, cargo handling, and basic ship operations. I can teach you everything you need to know. In exchange, you get a private cabin, 3 meals a day, and a salary. Standard crew rates, same as everyone else. Why?" Narai asked. "You do not know me. I have no skills. I might slow you down." "Everyone starts somewhere," Doyen said. "Jiwon taught me how to pilot. I knew nothing when I started." "And you saved my life yesterday," Narai added. "You fed me. You are already losing money on me." Jiwon shook his head. "That is not how I see it. I see someone who survived impossible circumstances. Someone who kept fighting when others gave up. That takes strength. That takes skill. You just need a chance to show it." Nare felt tears forming again. She had cried more in the past day than in the previous 7 months. "What if I fail? What if I cannot do the work? Then we try something different," Jiwon said simply. "Look, I am not asking you to sign a lifetime contract. Work with us for 1 month. If you hate it or if it does not work out, we part as friends. No hard feelings. But at least you will have had food, shelter, and a chance to recover your strength." It was the most reasonable offer Narai had ever heard. In Velkari society, contracts were binding and permanent. Failure meant punishment. But Jiwon was offering her a trial period with no penalties. It made no sense. "There must be rules," Narai said. "Punishments for mistakes. Ownership clauses, something." Doyen laughed. "The only rule is do not sabotage the ship or hurt anyone. Everything else we figure out as we go." "What about breeding rights?" Narai asked. In many galactic cultures, employers claimed reproductive rights over employees, or servitude contracts, or ownership of my future earnings. Jiwon looked horrified. "None of that. Earth banned those practices centuries ago. You work, you get paid, you keep all your earnings. What you do in your personal life is your business. And if anyone tries to claim ownership over you, they will have to go through me first." Yeri nodded. "Human labor laws are strict. You have rights here. Real rights." Narai looked at each of them. They seemed sincere. She had heard stories about humans, about how they treated other species with strange kindness. She had thought those stories were exaggerations. Maybe they were not. "I accept," Narai said quietly. "I will try for 1 month," Jiwon smiled. "Great. Let me show you to your cabin. It is small but private. You can decorate it however you like." The cabin was tiny. Just a bed, a desk, and a small closet. But it was clean and warm. It had a door that locked from the inside. Narai had not had privacy in months. She touched the walls, the bed, the desk. This was hers. Even if just for a month this space belonged to her. "Get some rest," Jiwon said from the doorway. "We leave station in 6 hours. I will come get you for dinner." After he left, Narai sat on the bed. It was soft. Real bedding, not scraps of cloth. She lay down and closed her eyes. For the first time in 7 months, she felt safe. She still did not fully understand these humans. She still expected something bad to happen. But for now, she let herself rest. When Jiwon came to get her for dinner, Narai was sound asleep. He left a covered plate of food outside her door and went back to work. When she woke hours later and found the food, still warm from being kept heated, she cried again. These humans were impossible to understand. But maybe, just maybe, she could learn to trust them. 3 months passed. Narai could hardly recognize herself anymore. When she looked in the mirror, she saw healthy gray skin with bright glowing patterns. She had gained weight. Her muscles were stronger from working on the ship. Most importantly, she no longer flinched when people moved suddenly near her. Life on the Morning Star had settled into a comfortable routine. Jiwon taught her everything about ship maintenance. How to check the engines, how to repair air filters, how to monitor power systems. She learned quickly. What she lacked in experience, she made up for in determination. "You are a natural at this," Jiwon said one day as they worked together in the engine room. "I have seen trained engineers make more mistakes than you do." Narai felt warmth spread through her chest. Praise was rare in Velkari culture. You were expected to do your job perfectly. Mistakes brought punishment, not teaching. But Jiwon never punished her mistakes. He just showed her the correct way and let her try again. The crew had become like a family. Doyen told terrible jokes that somehow always made her laugh. Harry visited whenever they docked at stations with medical facilities, always bringing supplies and checking on Narai's health. Even the other traders and workers they met commented on how well the crew worked together. But it was the small human behaviors that fascinated Narai the most. The way they shared meals together, talking and laughing. The way they asked, "How are you?" and actually wanted to know the answer. The way they celebrated small victories, like when Narai successfully repaired a broken coolant system by herself. One evening, the ship docked at a medium-sized trading station called Meridian Point. Jiwon needed to pick up specialized parts for the ship. He asked Narai to come with him to learn about negotiating with suppliers. The market district was busy and colorful. Hundreds of species moved through the crowded streets. Narai stayed close to Jiwon, still not comfortable in large groups. That was when she heard the familiar clicking language of Velkari. A group of 3 Velkari merchants stood at a stall selling fabrics. One of them, an older male, saw Narai and his expression changed to disgust. "Look at this," he said in Velkari, not realizing Narai could hear. "One of our people working for a human. How shameful." His companion, a female merchant, nodded. "The ones from that refugee ship. I heard they scattered across the galaxy begging for scraps. This one must have sold herself to that human." Narai felt her patterns dim with shame. But before she could respond, Jiwon stepped forward. He spoke in perfect Velkari, his tone cold. "She did not sell herself. She works for fair wages and is treated with respect, which is more than your government did for her when they abandoned 47 refugees to die." The merchants looked shocked that a human spoke their language. The older male recovered quickly. "You do not understand our culture, human. The contaminated cannot return. It is our law." "Your law is cruel," Jiwon replied, "and your culture values hierarchy over compassion. I may not understand it, but I do not need to. Narai chose to work with us. She is paid the same as any crew member. She has her own quarters, freedom to leave whenever she wants, and is treated as an equal."
Can you say the same for your workers?
The female merchant looked uncomfortable. In Velkari society, workers were often treated as property. Long contracts bound them to employers with little rights or freedoms. "She has been corrupted by human thinking," the older merchant sneered. "She will never fit back into proper society." "Good," Narai said suddenly. Her voice was steady. "I do not want to fit into a society that lets people starve. I do not want to return to a culture where kindness is seen as weakness. Jiwon saved my life when my own people left me to die. The humans gave me hope when I had none. If that is corruption, then I gladly accept it." She took Jiwon's arm and they walked away. Narai could feel her heart's pounding. She had never spoken against Velkari culture before. It felt terrifying and liberating at the same time. "Thank you," Jiwon said quietly, "for defending yourself. For defending us." "I was just telling the truth," Narai replied. But inside she felt something shift. She realized she no longer thought of herself as a Velkari refugee waiting to go home. She thought of herself as crew on the Morning Star, as part of Jiwon's team, as someone who belonged somewhere. Later that evening, back on the ship, Doyun prepared a special meal. He had bought ingredients from different cultures and mixed them together. It was his way of celebrating Narai's 3-month anniversary with the crew. To Narai, Doyun raised his glass. "The fastest learner I have ever seen and the only person who laughs at my jokes besides Jiwon." "Your jokes are terrible," Narai said. But she was smiling. "That is why they are funny," Doyun replied. They ate together, sharing stories. Doyun told about his first day piloting, when he nearly crashed into a spaceboy. Jiwon shared a story about accidentally flooding the engine room during training. Even their failures were treated as learning experiences, as funny memories instead of sources of shame. Narai found herself watching Jiwon throughout the meal. She had started noticing small things about him. The way he hummed while he worked. The way he always made sure everyone ate before he did. The way his eyes crinkled when he smiled. The way he explained things with endless patience. She felt something warm and confusing growing in her chest. At first she thought it was gratitude. But it felt different, deeper, more personal. In Velkari culture, emotions like this were carefully controlled. Relationships were arranged through contracts between families. The idea of choosing your own partner, of falling in love naturally, was considered primitive. But humans did things differently. Narai had seen it at stations, human couples holding hands and laughing together. She had heard crew members on other ships talk about finding partners they loved. It seemed chaotic and wonderful and terrifying all at once. "You are quiet tonight," Jiwon said, pulling her from her thoughts. "Are you okay?" Did those Velkari merchants upset you? No, Narai said honestly. I am just thinking about how much has changed. 3 months ago, I was starving and hopeless. Now I have a home, work, I enjoy friends. I never imagined my life could be like this. You earned it, Jiwan replied. You work hard. You never complain. You're a valued member of this crew. The warmth in Narai's chest grew stronger. She wanted to tell him what she was feeling, but the words would not come. In her culture, you did not speak of feelings. You followed protocols. But there were no protocols for this situation. Can I ask you something? Narai said carefully. About human relationships. Doyen suddenly found something very interesting on his plate. Jiwan looked curious. Sure, what do you want to know? How do humans choose partners? I heard it is different from most species. Jiwan thought for a moment. Well, there are no rules exactly. People meet, they spend time together. They see if they are compatible. If both people feel attraction and respect, they might decide to be together. No contracts, no family arrangements, just two people choosing each other. That sounds complicated, Narai said. It can be, Jiwan admitted, but it also means you are free to choose. Free to love who you want, free to build the life you want with someone who wants the same things. Nari absorbed this information, freedom to choose. She was starting to understand that this was at the heart of human culture. Freedom to make decisions, even wrong ones. Freedom to learn from mistakes. Freedom to become who you wanted to be. As the evening ended and everyone went to their cabins, Narai lay in her bed thinking. She had freedom now, real freedom, and she was beginning to realize what she wanted to do with it. The Morning Star traveled from station to station, delivering cargo and taking on new jobs. Narai learned more about the galaxy through these travels. She also learned more about how different species viewed humans. At a refueling station near the Outer Rim, Narai overheard a conversation that made her stop and listen. 3 alien merchants were discussing trade routes over drinks at a bar. Jiwan had sent her to pick up some supplies and she arrived just as they started talking about humans. I would never hire a human crew, one merchant said. He was a Grexian, tall with blue scales. They are too soft. Always worrying about safety regulations and worker rights. It slows down business, but they are reliable, another argued. This one was a Tholian with multiple arms. A human crew will get your cargo delivered intact. They might be slow, but they do not steal or damage goods. The third merchant, a species Narai did not recognize, laughed. True, and if you treat them fairly, they are loyal. I know a trading company that employs mostly humans.
The workers have been there for years.
No turnover, no complaints. The owner says it is the best decision he ever made. That is the problem, the Grexian insisted. Humans expect fair treatment. They expect decent wages and rest periods. They refuse jobs they think are dangerous or unethical. Where is the profit in that? The Tholian shrugged with several arms. The profit is in consistency. Human ships rarely have accidents. They maintain their vessels properly. They do not cut corners. In the long run, that saves money. I heard something strange, the unknown merchant said. Humans actually help refugees. For free, no payment, no contracts. They just give them food and passage. Why would anyone do that? It is their bizarre culture, the Grexian replied. They think everyone deserves help. They have this concept called human rights. They believe it applies to all species, not just humans. It makes no sense economically. Maybe not, the Tholian said thoughtfully. But I notice human stations rarely have riots or crime. When people are treated well, they do not rebel. Perhaps humans understand something we do not. Narai left quietly, thinking about what she had heard. The galaxy saw human kindness as a weakness, as an inefficiency. But she had lived with humans for 3 months now. She had seen how their way of doing things actually worked better in many ways. The crew was happy, so they worked hard. They were treated fairly, so they were loyal. They had freedom, so they chose to stay. It was not weakness. It was wisdom. Back at the ship, she found Jiwan working on repairs to the navigation system. He looked frustrated, his hair messy from running his hands through it. Problem? Narai asked. The targeting computer is being difficult, Jiwan sighed. I might need to replace the entire module, which will cost a lot. Let me look, Narai said. She had been reading technical manuals in her free time, learning everything she could about ship systems. She examined the computer, ran diagnostics, and found the issue. It is not the module. It is a loose connection in the secondary array. See? She showed him the problem. Jiwon's face lit up. You are right. That will save us at least 1,000 credits. Naraya, you are brilliant. The praise made her patterns glow brighter. She was getting better at accepting compliments without feeling embarrassed. They worked together, fixing the connection. As they worked, Narai found herself very aware of how close Jiwon was. She could smell the soap he used. She could hear his breathing. The warm feeling in her chest that she had been ignoring grew stronger. Jiwon, she said carefully, can I ask you something personal? Of course. Have you ever been in love? Jiwon's hands paused in their work. He looked at her with surprise. That is quite personal.
Why do you ask?
Nare felt brave. I am trying to understand human emotions. In Velkari culture, we do not talk about love. We have arranged partnerships. But humans choose. I want to understand how. Jiwon set down his tools and sat back. I was in love once. A few years ago. She was another engineer. We worked well together, laughed together, enjoyed each other's company. But she wanted to settle on Earth and start a family. I wanted to keep traveling through space. We wanted different lives, so we parted as friends. That sounds sad. It was, Jiwon agreed, but also right. Love is not enough by itself. You also need compatible goals, mutual respect, and similar values. That is what makes a partnership work. And have you found that since? Jiwon looked at her with an expression she could not read. I think I might be finding it. But the situation is complicated. Before Narai could ask what he meant, Doyun's voice came over the ship's communication system. Jiwon, we have a problem. There is a distress call. A small ship with refugees is stranded nearby. Life support failing. Jiwon and Narai rushed to the bridge. On the view screen, they could see a damaged shuttle drifting in space. Scans showed 12 life signs all week. Can we help them? Narai asked. We do not have much spare food, Doyun said, and our medical supplies are low. Taking on 12 refugees will stretch our resources thin. Jiwon did not hesitate. We helped them. That is what humans do, set a course to intercept. They brought the refugees aboard. They were Velkari, thin and scared just like Narai had been months ago. When they saw Narai, healthy and working alongside humans, they stared in disbelief. The crew shared their food. They gave up their spare blankets and clothes. Hieri, who happened to be aboard visiting, treated the injured. It was chaos, but everyone worked together. One young Velkari female kept watching Narai with wide eyes. Finally, she worked up the courage to speak. You work with humans? By choice? Yes, Narai said simply. They saved my life. They gave me work and treated me fairly. Now I am part of their crew. But what about returning home? What about our culture? Narai thought about the Velkari merchants who had looked at her with disgust. She thought about a government that abandoned refugees. She thought about the warmth and laughter of the Morning Star crew. I have found a new home, Narai said, with people who value kindness over hierarchy, with people who believe everyone deserves respect. Maybe that can be your home too. Over the next 2 days, they transported the refugees to a human colony that accepted asylum seekers. The colony administrators asked no questions. They simply registered the refugees and provided housing, food, and job training. This is what Earth does, the administrator explained to the confused Velkari. We help those who need it. You will work eventually, paying taxes like everyone else. But first you recover and learn. There is no rush, no debt, just support. As the Morning Star left the colony, Narai watched the refugees being led to clean housing and hot meals. She remembered being in their position. She remembered thinking she would die alone and forgotten. You are crying, Jiwon said softly, standing beside her. Happy tears, Narai replied. I am thinking about how different my life is now. How humans changed everything. How you changed everything. Jiwon was quiet for a moment. Then he said, You changed things for me too. You made me remember why I love this work, why helping others matters. You made our ship feel more like home. Narai looked at him, really looked at him, and she realized the feeling in her chest had a name. She was in love. She loved this human who had fed her when she was starving, who had taught her with patience, who had shown her that kindness was not weakness but strength. But she was afraid that he did not feel the same, afraid that human and Velkari could not work together that way, afraid that she was misunderstanding everything, so she said nothing. Not yet. But she knew eventually she would have to find the courage to speak. Everything changed when they docked at Talos Station again. 6 months after Narai had first met Jiwon. The ship needed major repairs, and they would be there for a week. Narai had mixed feelings about returning. This was where her nightmare had begun, but it was also where she had found hope. On the second day, as Narai was buying supplies in the market, a tall Velkari male approached her. He wore official government robes. 2 guards flanked him. "You are Narai," he said. It was not a question. "Formerly of colony ship Bright Dawn?" "Yes," Narai replied carefully. Her patterns flickered with anxiety. "I am Council Elder Thane. I represent the Velkari government. We have been searching for the survivors of the Bright Dawn. You will come with us for debriefing and repatriation." "I am not going anywhere," Narai said. Her voice shook but stayed firm. "I have work here. I have a crew. I am not a refugee anymore." Thane's expression hardened. "You are contaminated by alien contact. You require rehabilitation. This is not a request. You are Velkari. You fall under our jurisdiction." One of the guards reached for Narai's arm. She stepped back, her patterns flashing red with fear and anger. People in the market started to notice the commotion. That was when Jiwon appeared. He must have been tracking her location on his datapad. He stepped between Narai and the guards. "She said no," Jiwon stated. His voice was calm but hard. "She is a crew member of the Morning Star, registered under Earth jurisdiction. She has employment, housing, and legal status. You have no authority over her." Thane looked at Jiwon with contempt. "Human, you do not understand our laws. She belongs to Velkari society. We abandoned the refugees temporarily, but now we are reclaiming them. She will return with us for proper reintegration." "You mean brainwashing," Jiwon said flatly. "You abandoned her. You let her starve. You have no right to her now." "We have every right," Thane insisted. "She is our species. Our responsibility. Your interference is creating diplomatic incidents." More crew members from the Morning Star arrived. Doyen stood beside Jiwon. Other human traders who knew them also gathered, creating a wall between Narai and the Velkari officials. "You need to leave," Doyen said. "Now." Thane looked at the gathering crowd. His expression turned calculating. "Very well. But understand this. If Narai does not return voluntarily to Velkari space, she will be declared an exile. She will never be allowed contact with her family. Her siblings, her parents, all of them will be forbidden from speaking to her. She will be dead to them forever." Narai felt her world shatter. She had siblings. Younger siblings who she had helped raise. A mother and father who she loved, despite their rigid culture. The thought of never seeing them again, never speaking to them, was unbearable. "You cannot do that," she whispered. "We can and we will," Thane said. "You have 1 week to decide. Return home for rehabilitation, or become a permanent exile. Those are your choices." He left with his guards. The crowd slowly dispersed. Narai stood frozen, trying to process what had just happened. Jiwon gently guided her back to the ship. In the common area, the crew gathered around her. Yeri had been contacted and arrived quickly. Everyone wanted to help, but no one knew what to say. "They cannot force you to go," Doyen said. "Earth law protects you." "But they can cut off her family," Yeri added grimly. "That is legal under Velkari law. They use family as leverage to control their people." Narai sat with her head in her hands. She had found happiness here. She had found freedom, meaningful work, friends. She had found love, even if unspoken. But could she give up her family forever? "I do not know what to do," she said. Tears fell on the floor. "My younger sister is only 12 cycles old. I helped raise her. She depends on me. How can I abandon her?" "You are not abandoning anyone," Jiwon said firmly. "Your government is forcing an impossible choice. That is on them, not you." "But she will think I chose to leave her," Narai sobbed. "She will not understand." For hours they discussed options. Could they fight the Velkari government legally? Could they contact Narai's family secretly? Could they negotiate different terms? But every path seemed blocked. That night, Jiwon found Narai sitting in the observation deck staring at the stars. He sat beside her without speaking. Sometimes silence was better than words. "I love them," Narai finally said. "My family. But I love the life I have built here too. I love the freedom. I love learning new things. I love being treated as an equal. I love—" She stopped herself before saying "you." "I know," Jiwon said quietly. How can I choose? Either way, I lose something precious. Jiwan was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I have been researching galactic maritime law. There might be a way. It is extreme and I do not want you to feel pressured. But there is an option. What option? If you married a human citizen, you would gain immediate Earth citizenship. That supersedes Velkari authority. They could not force you to return. And technically, your family could still contact you because you would not be exiled, just married. Narai's hearts beat faster. Marriage? It is just a legal option, Jiwan said quickly. His face was red. I am not suggesting. It would not have to be real. It could be just on paper for legal protection. I would never pressure you into anything you did not want. Who would I marry? Narai asked. She already knew the answer but needed to hear him say it. Jiwan looked at her. In his eyes she saw fear and hope mixed together. Me if you wanted. Only if you wanted. I would understand if you refused. I am just offering the option as a friend, as someone who wants to help. Narai's mind raced. Marriage to Jiwan. Even if it started as legal protection, could it be more? Did she want it to be more? And more importantly, did he? Jiwan, she said slowly. Why are you offering this? Is it only to help me legally? He looked away. His hands fidgeted. At first, yes. When I discovered the law, I thought it was a clever solution. But then I realized something. The idea of you being my wife, even just on paper, made me happy. Really happy. And that scared me because I am your employer and I did not want to abuse that position. I did not want you to feel obligated. What are you saying? Jiwan turned back to her. His expression was vulnerable, open in a way she had never seen before. I am saying that I care about you. More than as a crew member. More than as a friend. I think I have been falling in love with you for months, but I was afraid to admit it. Afraid you would think I was exploiting you. Afraid you only felt gratitude, not affection. Narai felt tears return, but these were different tears. I was afraid of the same thing. I thought my feelings were just dependency, but they grew stronger even as I became independent. Even as I became confident. I love you, Jiwan. I love your kindness, your patience, your strength. I love how you see the best in people. I love how you make me laugh. I love working beside you. I love everything about you. They stared at each other. 6 months of unspoken feelings finally spoken. So, Jiwan said with a shaky smile, would you marry me? Not just for legal protection, though that is important, but as partners, as equals who choose each other freely, as people who love each other. Narai thought about her family. She thought about her old life. She thought about the rigid culture that had left her to die. Then she thought about the man before her, who had fed her when she was starving, who had given her work and dignity, who had shown her what freedom felt like. Yes, she said, I will marry you. I choose you. I choose this life. I choose freedom and love and partnership. I choose us. The wedding happened quickly. In human tradition, there was paperwork and witnesses. Yeri offered to officiate, having gotten licensed years ago for exactly these situations. Doyen insisted on making it a real ceremony, not just signing documents. They gathered in the docking bay of the Morning Star. Yeri had decorated it with lights and fabric from the market. It looked beautiful in a makeshift way. The crew stood as witnesses, along with several human traders who had heard about their situation and came to show support. Narai wore a simple dress that Yeri helped her pick out. It was blue, like Earth's sky that Narai had only seen in pictures. Jiwan wore his best clothes, the ones he saved for meeting important clients. He looked nervous and happy at the same time. We are gathered here, Yeri began, reading from her datapad, to witness the union of Jiwan and Narai. Marriage is a partnership between equals. It is built on love, trust, and mutual respect. It is a choice you make every day to stand beside each other through good times and difficult ones. She looked at Jiwan. Do you take Narai as your partner? Do you promise to respect her choices, support her dreams, and love her freely? I do, Jiwan said. His voice was strong. Yeri turned to Narai. Do you take Jiwan as your partner? Do you promise to respect his choices, support his dreams, and love him freely? I do, Narai replied. Her patterns glowed bright gold with joy. Then by the authority given to me by Earth law, and in the presence of these witnesses, I declare you married. You may kiss if you want. Jiwan looked at Narai with a question in his eyes. In Velkari culture, public displays of affection were forbidden. But Narai had chosen a new culture. She reached up and kissed him. The crew cheered. It was a simple kiss, gentle and sweet, but it felt like a promise, a beginning of something new. The celebration lasted into the evening. Doyen had somehow acquired a cake. No one asked where from. They ate and talked and laughed. Human traditions mixed with improvised Velkari ones. It was chaotic and perfect. But in the back of Narai's mind, worry remained. Council Elder Thane would find out about the marriage. What would he do? The answer came the next morning. Thane arrived at the docking bay with his guards and a legal representative. He looked furious. "This marriage is a sham," he declared loudly. "A legal trick to avoid Velkari authority. It will not be recognized." G1 stood in front of their ship, arms crossed. "It is registered with Earth authorities and Galactic Maritime Law recognizes it. Narai is now an Earth citizen. You have no claim over her. She will still be exiled," Thane threatened. "Her family will be forbidden from contact." Actually, Yeri stepped forward with her own datapad. According to Galactic Marriage Recognition Treaty, which Velkari government signed 20 years ago, citizens who marry citizens of other governments maintain rights to familial communication. You can exile her from Velkari space, but you cannot cut off family contact. That would violate the treaty. Thane's face darkened. He had not expected them to know the law so thoroughly. "This is human interference in Velkari affairs." "No," Narai said, stepping forward. She held G1's hand. "This is me choosing my own life. You abandoned me. You let me starve. You showed up only when you wanted to control me again. But I am not property. I am not a resource to manage. I am a person with rights and choices. And I choose this. I choose him. I choose freedom." Thane looked at her with something like sadness. "You have been poisoned by human ideas. You will regret this." "I regret nothing," Narai replied. "For the first time in my life, I am happy. Truly happy. Your culture taught me to obey. Human culture taught me to think. Your culture taught me to accept. Human culture taught me to choose. I know which one I prefer." The guards looked uncomfortable. The legal representative whispered something to Thane. Finally, the council elder nodded stiffly. "Very well. You will be declared married to an alien. You will be noted as having chosen exile. Your family will be informed. They may contact you if they wish, though I doubt they will. You are no longer Velkari in any meaningful way." "Good," Narai said, "because I am something better now. I am human in the ways that matter. In kindness, in compassion, in valuing freedom. And I am proud of that." Thane left without another word. His guards followed. As they disappeared into the station crowds, Narai felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She was free. Truly free. G1 squeezed her hand. "Are you okay?" "I am better than okay," Narai said. "I am exactly where I want to be." They spent the rest of the week on Talos Station finishing repairs. Narai noticed changes in how people treated her. Some Velkari looked at her with disgust, but others looked with curiosity. A young Velkari male approached her in the market. "Is it true?" he asked quietly. "You married a human? You chose exile?" "Yes," Narai confirmed. "What is it like? Being free to choose?" Narai looked at this young man, seeing her old self in his uncertain expression. "It is scary at first. You have been taught your whole life that someone else knows what is best for you. But then you realize that you know yourself better than any government or culture. You learn to trust your own judgment, and that is powerful." "I have been thinking about leaving," the young man confessed. "My family has a contract for me to marry someone I have never met, someone they chose for status, but I want to choose for myself." "Then choose," Narai said simply. "It will be hard. People will judge you, but you will be living your own life, not someone else's plan for you." The young man nodded and disappeared into the crowd. Narai wondered if he would find the courage to leave. She hoped he would. On their last night at the station, G1 and Narai stood together in their now shared cabin. Combining their spaces had been easy since neither owned much. But it felt right, sharing a space with someone she loved. "Do you regret it?" G1 asked. "Giving up your old life?" "I gave up nothing," Narai replied. "I lost that life when the pirates attacked. What you gave me was a new life, a better one. With you I am not just surviving, I am living. I still worry," G1 admitted, "that I am not enough, that you will miss your culture, your family." Narai took his face in her hands. "You are more than enough. You showed me what real strength looks like. Not control or hierarchy, but kindness and compassion. You taught me that I matter, not because of my status or my family, but because I am me. How could I regret that? They kissed again, longer this time. It felt natural now, this expression of affection. Narai had learned that love was not something to be controlled or arranged. It was something that grew freely when given the space to bloom. What happens now? Jiwon asked. Now we live, Narai said simply. We work, we travel, we build our life together. As partners, as equals, as two people who chose each other freely. Outside the window, stars glittered in the endless black of space. Somewhere out there was Velkari space. The culture that had raised Narai but ultimately failed her. Somewhere else was Earth. The planet whose children had shown her a different way to live. But here, in this moment, in this ship, in this cabin with the man she loved, Narai was exactly where she belonged. She was home. 6 months after the wedding, everything had changed and nothing had changed. The Morning Star continued its trade routes, but now Narai and Jiwon shared a cabin and a life. They worked together, ate together, made decisions together. It felt natural, as if they had always been meant to be partners. News of their marriage spread through refugee communities. Other displaced Velkari began seeking out human ships, knowing they would find help. Some just wanted passage to human colonies. Others wanted what Narai had found, a chance to build new lives free from rigid hierarchies. The Velkari government tried to stop the exodus. They declared all refugees contaminated and unfit to return. But this only pushed more Velkari to leave. Young people especially began questioning why their government valued control over the well-being of its citizens. Earth's government, seeing the crisis, launched the Refugee Integration Program. They sent representatives to stations across the galaxy, offering asylum and support to anyone who needed it. It was not just for Velkari. Refugees from dozens of species found help through the program. One day, the Morning Star received an unusual message. It was from Narai's younger sister, Bora. The transmission was scratchy and clearly sent in secret. Narai. The voice was older than Narai remembered, but still familiar. I do not know if you will get this. They told us you were dead. But I heard rumors about a Velkari woman who married a human. I hoped it might be you. Tears streamed down Nari's face as she listened. I am 16 cycles now, old enough to understand what really happened. You did not abandon us. They abandoned you first. I have been saving credits. I am going to leave, Narai. I am going to find you. Please, if you get this, let me know where you are. Narai immediately sent a response with their coordinates. For 3 days, she barely slept, waiting. Then a small passenger ship arrived at their location. A young Velkari woman stepped out. She looked uncertain and scared and hopeful all at once. Bora, Narai called out. The sisters ran to each other, embracing tightly. They cried and laughed and talked over each other. Jiwon and the crew gave them space, letting them reunite privately. You look so different, Bora said, touching Narai's bright patterns. So healthy, so happy. I am happy, Narai confirmed. Happier than I ever was in Velkari space. Bora, let me introduce you to my husband. She brought Bora to meet Jiwon. Her sister stared at the human with curiosity. You are the one who saved her? I just fed her dinner, Jiwon said modestly. She saved herself, Bora smiled. The elders say humans are dangerous, that you corrupt our people, but you just look kind. We try to be, Jiwon replied. And you are welcome here for as long as you need. Bora decided to stay. She joined the crew as a trainee, learning alongside Narai. The sisters worked together, making up for lost time. Bora asked endless questions about Human Part 1. The lower decks of Talos Station smelled like rust and desperation. Jiwon walked through the dimly lit corridors, his boots echoing against the metal floor. He had just finished loading cargo onto his ship and wanted to take a shortcut back to the main level. The station authorities rarely patrolled this area. It was where the forgotten people lived. A figure stumbled out from behind a broken ventilation unit. Jiwon stopped immediately. The creature before him was clearly not human. She was thin, so thin that her bones showed through her grayish skin. Strange patterns covered her arms and face, but they barely glowed. Jiwon had seen enough aliens to know that those patterns should have been bright. Please, the alien woman said in broken galactic common. Her voice cracked from thirst. I can work. I can serve, just food, please. Jiwon felt his stomach twist. She was offering herself in exchange for a meal. He had heard about this happening in the darker corners of space stations, but seeing it in person was different. Her large eyes held no hope, only the desperate need to survive one more day. "When did you last eat?" Ji-won asked softly in Galactic Common. The alien woman blinked in surprise. Most people did not ask questions. They either accepted offers like hers or walked away. 3 days, she whispered. Maybe 4. I lose count. Ji-won pulled off his jacket and wrapped it around her thin shoulders. She flinched at the sudden movement but did not pull away. "Come with me," he said. "I know a place that serves hot food." "I have no credits," she said quickly. "But I can pay. I can serve you." "I can—" "Not necessary," Ji-won interrupted. He started walking, and after a moment she followed. Her steps were unsteady. He slowed his pace so she could keep up. They walked through the station in silence. Other travelers stared at them. A human walking with a clearly dying alien was not common. Most species in the galaxy believed in leaving the weak behind. Ji-won had never understood that philosophy. The noodle shop was small and warm. The owner, an elderly human woman, looked up when they entered. Her eyes widened when she saw the alien woman's condition. "Get her whatever she wants," Ji-won told the owner. "Keep it coming until she says stop." The alien woman sat down slowly, as if she expected the chair to disappear. The owner brought out a bowl of hot noodle soup. Steam rose from the bowl, carrying the smell of broth and vegetables. The alien woman stared at it for a long moment. Then she picked up the utensils with shaking hands. She ate like someone who had forgotten what food tasted like. Tears ran down her face as she swallowed each bite. Ji-won watched quietly, drinking his own tea. The owner brought another bowl, then another. By the 4th bowl, the alien woman finally slowed down. "Thank you," she whispered. "I will pay you back. I promise. I can work on your ship. I can clean. I can— what is your name?" Ji-won asked. She looked confused by the question. "Narai, my name is Narai. I am Ji-won. Nice to meet you, Narai." He smiled at her. "Tell me what happened. How did you end up here?" Narai stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly she began to talk. Her story came out in pieces. She was from the Velkari species. Her colony ship had been traveling to a new settlement when pirates attacked. They took everything valuable and left the passengers stranded at the nearest station. That was Talos Station. My government said they would send help, Narai explained. Her voice was bitter. But they never came. They said we were contaminated by contact with criminals. They said we could not return to Velkari space, so we waited here. But the station authorities do not care about refugees. No food assistance, no shelter, no help. People started dying. How many of you were there? Ji-won asked. 47. Narai looked down at her empty bowl. Now maybe 20. Some found work on cargo ships. Some died, some disappeared. I tried to find work, but no one wants a Velkari. They say we are weak. They say we are useless. Ji-won felt anger building in his chest. He had heard similar stories before. Most galactic governments did not care about their own refugees. They saw them as embarrassments, as problems to ignore. But Earth had different policies. Humans believed that everyone deserved help regardless of where they came from. Where I come from, Ji-won said carefully. We do not let people starve. We do not abandon our own. And we do not ignore those who need help. Narai laughed, but it was a sad sound. You are human, yes? I've heard stories about your kind. They say humans are soft. They say you waste resources on the weak. They say you will not survive long in the galaxy because you care too much. Maybe, Ji-won agreed. But we are still here. And right now that means you are not alone anymore. The owner brought out more food. This time it was rice and vegetables and some kind of meat. Narai ate more slowly now, savoring each bite. Color was starting to return to her face. The patterns on her skin glowed just a little brighter. I still do not understand, Narai said between bites. Why are you helping me? What do you want from me? Nothing, Ji-won said simply. You needed help. I could help. That is all. Narai shook her head. That is not how the galaxy works. Everyone wants something. There are always strings attached. Always a price, but not with humans, Ji-won replied. At least not with most of us. We believe in something called basic decency. It means treating others with respect and kindness. Not because we expect something back, but because it is the right thing to do. Narai stared at him like he was speaking an alien language. In a way, he was. The concept of helping someone without expecting payment was foreign to most galactic cultures. They saw it as weakness, as foolishness. But Jiwan had been raised differently. "Tomorrow," Jiwan said as they finished eating, "come find me at Docking Bay 12. My ship is called the Morning Star. I have a proposal for you, a real one, not involving servitude or anything like what you offered earlier." "What kind of proposal?" Naraye asked suspiciously. "The kind that involves honest work, fair pay, and regular meals," Jiwan replied. He stood up and paid the owner. "Think about it. If you do not show up, I will understand. But if you do, we can talk about your future. A real future, not just survival." Naraye watched him leave the noodle shop. She sat alone at the table, feeling full for the first time in months. The warmth of the food spread through her body. She touched her face and felt the tears still wet on her cheeks. She did not understand this human named Jiwan. She did not understand his kindness. But for the first time since the pirates attacked her ship, Naraye felt something she thought she had lost forever. She felt hope.